Good morning. Joanne with the camera on? That's very unusual. Okay. All right. Hi, Lynn. Okay. I see. Well, I see Steve Miller. I see Cindy. I don't see, let's see, I see Merle. I see Merle. I see Carrie and Ray. Ray, I have a question to ask of you.
Yes.
Would I be able in the catching up part of the beginning of our class to ask you to make reference to Portugal?
Absolutely.
It's a fascinating thing, and I'd love to have people share in that. Okay.
Sure.
Effie. Okay. Tamara. Shabbat Shalom. Boker Tov. Why are you people up? It's holiday. You should be recovering from all your alcoholic activities last night. Natalie, you were there, but then you disappeared. Okay. Cindy was there and disappeared. People coming in and out more and more. Hi, Cindy. Are you Susie, are you physically like all back together? All back together. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. Effie, you're in a situation in which you're totally in the dark.
Well, that's me all the time.
Even touch that as a thought possibility.
Yeah, that's me all the time. So what's different?
Okay, it just yeah, right.
No, for Effie, it's the bright light behind him.
Yeah, I know that, but I'd rather say he's in the dark. Sandra, I see Sandra Carol Peters, who is a newcomer.
This is what I got.
Marion is here. Okay.
What's with all this maturity in this?
Well, just
What's
there's not much to do but better yourself.
I just got my
Say hi to my friends.
Up top says next.
Nope. Okay.
Kevin yelling at his kids? I don't know. No, his kids are older. Okay.
For what?
Wait a second. I can't see who could possibly be doing that noise. Kevin, is that you? Were you making noise?
No, I wasn't. I was on mute. I had to get my chocolate croissant and my coffee. It just helps with the morning Torah.
Marion, hello, Marion, it's good to see you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Well, Marion can't, I don't think. Sandra, can you hear me? We'll get going. Hi, everybody. Baruch atah Adonai. Eloheinu melech haolam.
Asher Yishanu Miklotav, Yitzivanu La'asok Divrei Torah.
Amen. We're going to start off. Excuse me. It's whatever. It's so good to see everybody. Wow. Okay. All right. Here we are on January 1st, 2022. And it's obvious that nobody here in this group had a big party last night. And that's sad. But okay. So here we are. What's the time difference between here and Hawaii?
2 hours right now. Hawaii doesn't recognize or recognize daylight savings time. So in the winter, we're 2 hours earlier at 7 a.m. here, and in the summer, it's 3 hours earlier.
Right now it's 7 a.m. No wonder you're drinking coffee. Okay. Now, if I could, Ray, you have a little bit of a brief story to share with us about your world. Can you give us a couple of minutes?
Sure. What Stan's talking about is I mentioned to him this week that I now start the second phase of my process to becoming a dual citizen with the country of Portugal. And why Portugal, of all places? I have no intention of moving there. I've never even visited there. But in the late 1400s, Portugal and Spain carrying out what they called the Alhambra Accords, expelled many, many Jews from the Iberian Peninsula, the Spanish Inquisition. So half of my family is Sephardic, and during that time, Jews that were living in either Portugal or Spain had the choice of either converting to Catholicism or leaving Spain and Portugal, leaving all their possessions, property, and leaving. So that's what my family did. The Jews that stayed there were referred to as either conversos or Moranos. My family left, and the Ottoman Empire was very welcoming to the Spanish Jews. They were merchants, and there was a shortage of people that could run businesses, and the Ottoman Empire was very, very welcoming. So my family went to the Ottoman Empire, which became Turkey, moved the clock ahead 500 years, 520 years. Spain and Portugal decided that for the people that left the Iberian Peninsula, whose relatives left the Iberian Peninsula, they were going to extend citizenship. And they did this 5 years ago. And the process is kind of interesting. Spain was kind of tough. If you wanted Spanish citizenship, you had to speak Spanish, take a Spanish history test. And at one time, they were talking about a residency requirement. But Portugal was much easier. To become a citizen of Portugal, all you have to do is prove that you have heritage. You're a Sephardic Jew from the Iberian Peninsula, obviously. You have to satisfy the Jewish community of Lisbon or of Porto. And you do that by getting a lot of documents. I got my documents from Ancestry.com. I got the ship's manifest where my grandparents left Turkey and went to through Ellis Island in the early 1900s. And you submit a lot of documents to them. And finally, when they're satisfied that you're a Sephardic Jew, they give you a certification. And I'm at that point now. And now I'm hiring a law firm in Portugal, and they'll submit these documents and the certification from the Jewish community. They'll submit that to the government. And then in about 6 months, I'll get a Portuguese birth certificate, which is really weird because I was born in New York. And then I'll take that to the embassy here in Honolulu, the Portuguese embassy, and they'll give me a passport. And having a passport from Portugal means that I'll be a citizen of the EU. And if I wanted to, I could live in any of the EU countries. There are 27 of them. I wouldn't need a visa to stay past 6 months. So it's kind of fun. And I mentioned it to Stan, and that's where I am. I'm starting step 2.
I was just incredibly jealous because, as I mentioned to Ray, I can only go back to the middle 1800s in my family, and I hit a wall. Most of the documents related to my family's history were destroyed during the Holocaust. Things burned, everything burned, records, cities. So I can't go back any further than that. And Ray has established back to the 15th century, which is pretty awesome. And Tamara makes the point that Portugal is a go-to location now because of the quality of life and how things are. So anyway, thank you for sharing that piece. So we got to know you a little bit, but also to know a little bit about what's going on in the world. Herman.
Ray, we share something in common.
What's that?
My father was Sephardic, except we were in Spain. We weren't in Portugal. And
we were in Spain also.
We left Spain in the 15th century also, but went to Turkey, and then eventually migrated to the United States via South America.
Oh.
I still have cousins who live in Argentina.
That's fantastic. Effie?
Yes. When you go traveling and you stay longer than the 6 months, etc., will your wife be able to do it too, since she's not a citizen?
After 2 years, a spouse can get Portuguese citizenship and piggyback onto their spouse's existing citizenship.
Fantastic.
This
Thank
is very
Thank you
popular
very
with
much for sharing that. It's kind of, this is our community, and now we learned a wonderful story, a wonderful story.
popular with Israelis, I should mention, because Israelis have some apprehension of traveling with an Israeli passport for the obvious terrorist reasons. So most of the people that are getting the citizenship, the dual citizenship, are from Israel.
Fascinating. Okay. All right, maybe someday Poland or Russia will extend to me citizenship and I can reject it. Okay, very, very good. Well, I have this memory. Anyway, first of all, Don Levy is serving as the technical person connecting all of our Zoom this hour from Wilshire Boulevard Temple, but Don is the #1 honcho that makes all of their video and other stuff happen. So Don, hello, under the W. We thank you very, very much for being here and for supporting us this morning. That's great.
You are way too kind, and it is my privilege.
Oh, you see, we have this thing behind us, which is
Thank you, Don.
which is there. Okay. I got that from Howard, and thank you very much. That's a great comment about Portugal and American administration. To mention, every other Tuesday, beginning January 11th, which turns out to be a week from this Tuesday, January 11th, I am going to begin a new class at Wilshire on Zoom, which is a current events class. It's going to be current events that touch upon Jewish life in Israel and in the United States. I mean, there may be something that goes on around the world that we could point to, but we're going to do that. It's going to be a presentation and a conversation. Unlike every other thing that we do, your political opinions or your reactions are welcome. The rule will be civility, okay? Civility, which means that we could become a paradise in the midst of hell. And we will be able to say things like, I totally disagree with you. I really think this is so, and that person is terrible. But I respect and love everybody. Fine. And then we will go on and have conversations like that. So it's current events. We're going to be talking about what's going on. And there is a lot going on in Israel and in the United States dealing with the Jewish community. It's going to be every other Tuesday.
What time?
It'll be, thank you, from noon to 1 p.m. Now, I know, and I'm finding out more and more because Sandra's on the call on the Zoom today, Marion's on the Zoom today, and we welcome them as new participants. If you would like to get email updates, reminders about things that our group, our community is doing, please just send me by email your email address, and I will easily put you on. You do not have to apply to the Portuguese embassy to get on our email list, okay? So if you do that, and my email address is ravdavids, RAVDAVIDS @gmail.com. So we would love to have you have that. So that's good. Rosh Chodesh Shvat, we're here. Not only is it, I think, yeah, January 1st. That's true. That's a big thing. So it's January 1st. It's a new year. It's 2022. I think that is fantastic. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to be celebrating Tu B'Shvat, the first event after Hanukkah, Tu B'Shvat. And we're going to be going on that. But more than that, in this Hebrew month, we will be reading the 10 Commandments. It's a very rich month, very interesting. And then we will move from reading the 10 Commandments and all of that to the month of Adar, Shvat Adar, the next month, except this year is a leap year. We got so much going on. So it's going to be Adar 1 and then Adar 2 before we actually get to Purim and Pesach and so forth. So the calendar moves on, and that's great. So that's background. Cindy, I saw you pop in, and then I don't see Cindy. I saw her flowers. I saw her background.
I'm babysitting and watching Disney.
Okay. Any calendar for sisterhood?
Yeah, for Tu B'Shvat, we're going to talk about family trees. We're having a Zoom happy hour January 20th at 5 p.m. and the link will be in the bulletin hopefully soon.
Okay, super. Ray, I don't know if I'm going to be effective enough to give the topic in advance. I already know what my first topic is, and I already have a file like this of things I want to cover. It's going to be, what do I really feel like talking about today? And it's going to be that kind of a thing. It's not going to be a formal class in which we follow a curriculum. I know that there are some things happening with regard to conversion in Israel, which is of real interest to me. So I may hit on that the first week. That's kind of my thinking. And by the way, oh, thank you for saying that. I am open. Boker Tov, Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova, Penina. I am open to requests, like a call-in television show. So if you want to send me a note, say, Stan, boy, I would love to argue about, to hear about this, send me a note, we'll do it. Okay? So it's going to be on a live thing. Jim Ruxin is not here, so I won't say anything about, Jim is always here when there's a film to be announced, but I'm not going to say that because that would be totally wrong. Last comment, please use the electric hand raise. So on the thing down below where it says reactions, you can hit on reaction and it says raise hand. That will enable you to help me see you trying to raise your hand. Okay, it'll just be a visual assistance. Okay, anything else to check in with? Anything else, something else going on in your families, in your lives that you would like to share with our community? Anybody have anything going on? I know that 2 of my grandchildren are heading back to college this week in time for the college to go totally virtual, and they're going to be stuck in their apartments where they are instead of living at home because it happened too late for them not to buy their plane tickets back.
It's not a big deal.
Okay, so that's fun.
It's not a big deal. I don't think
Anything else going on in your lives that you want to? Okay, I see Effie in an electronic hand. Thank you.
Yes. The fires and whatnot in Colorado, Boulder, Colorado area, some trees dropped on some of my grandchildren's house.
Wow. But the house survived.
Yes. But they don't know the damage because they're in Mexico.
That's fine. That reminds me of how Ted Cruz handles crisis at home. But I'm not going to mention that because this is not the Tuesday political discussion time. Okay, thank you, and I'm glad they survived. Okay, we had a fire in our apartment building yesterday, and it was real. And we had to evacuate, and the fire department was all over the place. And I am just so physically fit that what I needed was the requirement to walk down 7 flights of stairs because the elevators, of course, shut off. And it turned out that one of our caring neighbors on the 17th floor decided to use the waste chute as a place to drop their lit smoking things. And they caught fire, and the smoke went down the chute and then out into every single floor. So We had a splendid introduction to Shabbat and New Year's Eve, but thank you for asking. Everything is fine, and I'd love to get my hands on that 17th floor person who thinks that dropping smoking material into the trash chute is a friendly thing to do. Okay, nothing else? Okay, all right, that's fine. I see a hand, Mara.
I was just going to say that I just had an essay come out in Jonah magazine.
What is Jonah? First of all, Mazel Tov.
It's an online magazine.
Pardon?
It's an online magazine, and it talks about things of the spirit, I guess.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Mazel Tov. Okay, we are good. We're gonna, oh yeah, it was very clear that Mona is thrilled for you. Publication, a woman publishing stuff, getting out there. Yes. Okay, right? Right. Okay, now here we are. We are in Exodus chapter 7, verse 1. Exodus chapter 7, verse 1. In the Plout Torah commentary, page 784. In the Women of Reformed Judaism commentary, 337. So I'm turning to 784. This is really a heck of a good way to begin a new year. I may even go outside and walk around a little bit just to breathe the fresh, untrammeled air of 2022. Okay, Exodus chapter 7, verse 1. This altogether doesn't look right. Why did I do that? I must have mistyped, and I'm sorry. It was late at night after I came back. Okay, Exodus chapter 7, verse 1. And we are, is 384 the same as 584? No, we're in 384. I am sorry, I did that. Okay, now, here we are, Moses discussing with God about what's going to happen with the Egyptians. And the Eternal replied to Moses, "See, I place you in the role of God to Pharaoh with your brother Aaron as your prophet." That sounds like a very unimportant phrase. I mean, it's nice, simple, but it gives us a wonderful insight into the meaning of the Hebrew word navi. Navi, a prophet. And we say prophet, we say a prophet, and we don't really know what the Bible intends when they use the word prophet, but this sentence, this sentence displays Aaron as Moses's prophet. So what does that mean? Someone want to have an idea? Okay, Steve.
I don't know if this helps. My translation says spokesman, and I guess in a way, prophet in general is a spokesman for God, trying to communicate God's message to the people.
Okay, so in this category, though Navi is ordinarily translated as prophet, what we have here with that translation is a commentary on the word prophet. Yes, spokesman. So, Steve, how much of the prophet's message belongs to the prophet by this definition?
I think in theory, the prophet's message is never the prophet's message. It's always God's message. And that's why people flee to Nineveh or refuse to go to Nineveh.
Yeah,
they're like a vessel.
Yes, in a sense, like a vessel. So God says, Moses, you have this, whatever it is, reluctance, whatever, but you're going to be going there. I will give you the message. You hand it over to Aaron. Aaron will speak the message to Pharaoh. Okay, Herman, I see a hand. Herman, you're up.
Thank you. My book also shows the word prophet, but then in the explanation, it says your spokesman. The Hebrew word navi may well be derived from an Akkadian verb meaning to call or proclaim. The divine word that is Moses will thus expose the holiness of Pharaoh's claim to divinity.
Okay, Effie.
If the text says shall be Moses's prophet, does that put him on the same level as all the other prophets who are God's prophets?
Aaron, to my knowledge, is never referred to in a list of prophets. Okay, so he's not considered, because, if you will, Aaron doesn't hear that much directly from God. Aaron hears from God through Moses, and through Aaron, Pharaoh hears. But you're asking the proper question. When I would draw up, if I were forced to do an exam again at the Hebrew College, list all the prophets in the Bible, I would not have put Aaron on that list. Excellent question. Thank you for that. Maria, okay, Penina.
The way when I was studying the whole book of Nevi'im, there is a whole book of prophets. They were actually warning the people that their own action are going to have consequences. They didn't prophesize what will come. It was more like a warning.
I think that's a really, really good point. The prophets were not soothsayers. The prophets weren't, in 45 years, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. The prophets were looking, Penina, thank you, they were looking at their world and conveying, if you will, God's reaction to it. One of the splendid examples of this is when Jeremiah, and I have remembered his entire speech. It is, may I, my intestines, the message is so powerful, I can't resist it. It's burning up inside of me. And if anyone is interested in a little bit of homework, pick up a very thin book entitled The Prophets, and actually is a very thick book entitled The Prophets. And it is such a Heschel, such a superb discussion as to what a prophet is. It doesn't mean that it's 100% everyone agrees with Heschel. It is a brilliant book. And if you want to read about how Heschel views the prophet as a channel for God's word, that book really, really talks about it, and I strongly recommend it. So the Eternal said to Moses, maybe we missed this. I place you in the role of God. That's not exactly what the Hebrew says. And I'm picky, right? Vayomer Adonai al Moshe, God said, or the Eternal said to Moses, Re'eh, see, Nitaticha Elohim leFaro. I am making you Elohim to Pharaoh. That doesn't exactly say, I place you in the role of God to Pharaoh. Do you feel the difference? The Hebrew literally says, Netaticha Elohim leFaro. You are Elohim. What then? Okay, Mona, I'm going to turn to you. You're drawing out the description of the play. Okay? As Moses is facing Pharaoh, they really occupy similar roles. What are those roles?
I think they're both the highest person in the land. So they're leaders, they're forceful, they're powerful.
I need one more word. What they are. What they are.
Deities?
Yes. That does it. I knew you'd come up with it.
I didn't hear the word.
Deity, God. Pharaoh, in the eyes of himself and the people, Pharaoh was a god. In this setting, Moses, Netaticha Elohim leFaro. So what's happening is you have a clash between two gods. That's what's going on when Moses goes into Pharaoh's palace and challenging. It isn't just a claim that I am the duly elected leader of the Israelite people and I'm putting my paper before you. No, you are God, Pharaoh. Guess what? In this setting, I am being called Elohim. I am in the place of God. Actually, that was me being modest here. It says, I'm making you God. Tamara, do you want to come up and help me on this? Moses is being told you are God in this setting. That's astonishing. We miss that every time we read the sentence. So Moses is God. Now, what's the role of Aaron? Aaron is speaking God's words, Moses's words to Pharaoh. And in that sense, Aaron really is a prophet in this brief moment. It's fascinating to me. Yes, Abraham, Joshua, Heschel. Okay, fine. Okay, please, Steve, yes.
But Moses doesn't then take God at his word, because when he goes to Pharaoh, he talks about God doing these things, not Moses doing them. And in the battle of the serpents, he calls upon God to do it. He doesn't say, I can do it.
You are right. You are right. You are absolutely correct. So you have a weird literary problem. One author here is describing Moses as being God in the presence of Pharaoh, and yet in the narrative, Moses never claims that role. Never. Okay, I'm going to give Mona a chance, even though you didn't put up your electric hand, but you raised your hand. And then I'm going to get to Kevin, who did put up. Okay, please.
Perhaps the way the text is written, they're suggesting that Moses is modest and humble and doesn't feel comfortable taking on this God position. Another thing would be that God is trying to embolden Moses and give him confidence that he lacks. And so by saying to him, you're going to be like God with Pharaoh, he's saying, you can do this. Come on, Moses. Maybe it's a suggestion of some of Moses's personal characteristics and his own reluctance to take on this kind of role.
So you're writing the description of the dramatis persona. Is that what this is? Moses humble, but represent. Yeah, fine. By the way, in that sense, Mona, I also picture this in my head as a battle on Mount Olympus, in which these two forces, and the way the story is told, that's the way we would expect the Egyptians to view it. Claim versus claim, claim versus claim. And it's from my perspective, it's a way that the scribes who wrote these stories down and integrated them as a narrative wanted to place the role of Moses in the formation of the Israelite people. And they are elevating Moses as much as they possibly can. Kevin, please.
So it seems like this is elevating Aaron to the level of Pharaoh, and God's telling Moses not to speak, to be like the man behind the veil, where the Pharaoh doesn't even see that it's Moses because he's like, God, and Aaron is the one who's supposed to speak to Pharaoh as if he's talking about what God is saying. And that's what I don't understand, why Pharaoh would speak to Aaron.
Very, 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 very interesting. It's a question I had not thought about. Why would Pharaoh speak to Aaron? That's a wonderful question. And again, I admit, Kevin, I haven't thought about that question. I can say this in the Rashi. It says that Moses gave Aaron the words, and Aaron spoke the words framed in eloquence. That's what Rashi says, that Moses said whatever he had to say, and Aaron framed the words with eloquence before Pharaoh. I have, Aaron was bilingual, yeah. I have never encountered a conversation about why would Pharaoh speak with Aaron. And I
all came together.
Mona, Mona, you got to play. You got a whole different take. Oh, I love this. Why did Pharaoh, anyone have an offering? Why did Pharaoh speak with Moses, with Aaron? Okay, please. Yes. Your picture keeps jumping around. I lost Howard. He was there, and then his picture. Where is Howard? There you are, up on top. Okay.
It says it has a contradictory formulation earlier in Exodus in 4:17. It said when God is talking to Moses about Aaron, and he says that Aaron will speak for you to the people, and he will become a mouth for you, and you will become a God for him.
That's the same image, is it not, Howard? That Moses takes the role of God to speak to Aaron, to speak to the people. Yes. And of course, Moses at times does. Let's just look at verse 2. You shall repeat all that I command you, and your brother Aaron shall speak to Pharaoh to let the people go. Very interesting. I don't know why the question hasn't been asked before. Penina.
Well, he says right away in the beginning that he stutters and he cannot speak. Pharaoh knows him. The name Moshe means that he was drawn out of the river, limshot me'amayim, and his name represents a new era. It's out with the old, and now there is new. The water is a way of cleaning somebody, like rebirth. Even the Christians today, in order to show that they're believers, they go to baptism and they being dipped in water. So Moshe is a new era now. It's out with the old God, Pharaoh, and now there is a time for a new God, Elohim. And he just says in the beginning he cannot speak. He was stuttering. So he told him, I'll give you Aaron and he can speak for you. But Moses is the one that Pharaoh knows. So now there is this fight of which God is going to be in the future, the one who's going to direct wherever it's going to happen.
And if you take that and you expand it a little bit, and it's not just which God will be ruling in the future, but which way of looking at the world, which way of understanding the world, which way of
exactly
moral system, all of that is represented in the Olympian struggle between Moses and Pharaoh. You're doing well today, folks. Really good. We could write our own Torah commentary, publish it, and become rich. Okay, so that is excellent. I'm going to throw in a new word, and I am always sad when Brad isn't here, but I'm particularly sad when I'm trying this. I looked at it, and the word avatar came to my mind. Now, first of all, the movie Avatar I thought was fabulous, but that's a long time ago, and I don't expect any of you to have seen it or studied it, but I love the movie Avatar, and so that's a problem. But Avatar, the word avatar, is used in the Hindu religion to be a manifestation, I have the words, of a deity in bodily form on earth. Avatar, a manifestation of a deity in bodily form on earth. So that's a very, very interesting term. For a while here, Moses is being set up as an avatar of God. He speaks God's words. He represents God. And the language almost allows us to say, in this encounter, you are as God before Pharaoh. And so the term that I'm interested in is avatar. And then I read on because I decided to dig into Google and find out more about avatar, and I found this: an incarnate divine teacher. Incarnate obviously means in the flesh. Using the word avatar can be a very interesting theological experience. Was Jesus an avatar? That using that language could open up a whole different way of understanding how religious leaders play their role. And no, I am not auditioning for the role of avatar. On the other hand, if you nominate me, I might consider running. But so Moses in Pharaoh's court is an avatar for God. Aaron is prophet in this setting. And having done this analysis, I have to admit to you, I have never thought of it this way before. Just like that. I see Howard, I see Steve, I see Eric.
Well, I'll start if no one else will. I have a problem with Avatar because Avatar normally is like a best representation or a desired representation, and God would not present himself or herself or whatever
himself
as flawed as Moses presents that he even needs a spokesman. So to me, Avatar doesn't quite fit.
Okay, but you're fighting an active, real, possible definition. I understand your reaction, but what I shared with you is there as a definition of avatar. Yes, it's the Hindu approach. Yes, it's the Eastern representation, but the word struck me. I mean, obviously, Moses was far from perfect. Far, 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 far from perfect. And I agree with you. Eric.
Oh, I had to do a hard choice. I'm getting older. I'm a solo ager. So I had to appoint my cousin to be my spokesman, just in case I get sick or disabled or incapacitated to follow my wishes. So I think Aaron was like a trustee for Moses.
Okay, we're finding our own metaphors, and I think that's terrific. Okay, we're going to move on. Fine. Rashi says, when I say, Rashi was toying with this, I am going to make you Elohim LePharaoh. He was toying with it. He was, I don't want to compare myself, but he also was kind of like, what does this mean? And Rashi says, well, you're going to be Elohim, which means, Moses, you will be the judge of Pharaoh, and you will bring punishments to Pharaoh. That's what God does. So Rashi is following what we're talking about, or let's be fair, I'm following what Rashi's talking about. In some way, this verse is powerfully important and needs to be looked at. In some way, Rashi, who besides being a winemaker, was a pretty good Bible interpreter. Rashi is saying it means what it says. In this relationship between Moses and Pharaoh, Moses is God. He is judging and he is bringing punishment. That's what Rashi says. That's what God is doing now. Moses is doing it. We're going to leave the point. I'm just excited by it because the Torah keeps opening up new understandings, and there is an understanding for us to mine here. If we did one of those surveys, in Jewish life, what's more important, the message or the messenger? Is that a good question? Effie?
Amazing.
Okay, Penina, you're saying, what would you say?
I said it's amazing because at the end, when he says, Makat Bechorot, I'm going to kill your firstborn, it means that my God is stronger than your God, than you as a God. That's it. It's a message.
Absolutely. Strange things are happening in this Olympian struggle between Moses and Pharaoh. It isn't just, the wayward kid comes home to challenge the adoptive father. I'm going to tear this house down. It's much more than that, because the offering of the firstborn is a proper sacrifice to a God. We have to see that. The slaying of the firstborn, whether it's a firstborn sheep or in ancient times, a firstborn child.
Paganism.
This is a suitable sacrifice to a God. And Moses implements that. So this is all good. Anyone else? Message or messenger? Merle.
I'm not sure which. I keep thinking about this, and I'm thinking that the message, it depends on how it's interpreted by the messenger from whoever they got it from, whether it's God or anyone else. How is the message interpreted, and how is the message given to the people that he's speaking to?
So you're opting for message over messenger?
I think so.
Yo, that's a good answer. I think so is a really good answer. Okay, Mara, I saw your yellow hand go up.
I don't remember if this has been said or not, so forgive me if it has, but it seems to me that sending Aaron to Pharaoh can be looked at conversely, that a non-God is being sent to speak to a non-God. In other words, if I'm negotiating with someone, I won't negotiate with someone who isn't on my level. So Aaron is sent, and the inherent message is that he's not a god, and neither is Pharaoh.
Anyone else want to comment? And thank you. Anyone else want to comment on Message Messenger? The prophets sometimes suffer, sometimes are threatened with death, sometimes are killed. The message that they brought lived on. The message matters from my perspective. I don't want to get into current cultural concerns. Eric is saying Aaron acted as an agent or trustee. Yes, I get that. I see that. I see that. And Tamara says, I'm not sure Pharaoh speaks with or to Aaron. Aaron is the one who speaks as a mouthpiece. So you picture Aaron speaking to Pharaoh, Pharaoh speaking to Moses, and then Moses speaks to Aaron. That's a lot of people in a conversation. Yeah. But isn't this wonderful to worry about something like this? I think it's great. I think it's great. I was going to say, and I'm struggling with saying it because I usually am smart enough not to say out loud what I'm thinking, if as I'm thinking it, it's troubling. I am willing to try to listen to certain messages, even though the messenger is not someone I respect or care for. I just stepped on a minefield, and I know that. I know that. I still believe that someone can be treated as even a wicked and bad or whatever person, but they may have spoken a message which is worth our considering. I should never read anything that Nietzsche wrote because he was a committed anti-Semite. So does that mean I take his book, throw it off my bookshelf? No, not me. There are people who would absolutely say yes. And it's a problem. It's a problem. Can we listen to a message from somebody who has done something or is in some way considered by us to be bad, immoral, lawbreaker, something like that? This will be our last thought because we have to. Oh, we got 2 minutes left. Herman?
Rabbi, I'm not quite sure that one is more important than the other. In this particular case, Pharaoh has no choice. God has hardened his heart and made it so that Pharaoh cannot say yes to anything that is sold to him. So the message or the messenger makes no difference in this particular case. Pharaoh has to say no.
I mean, Herman, I'm with you, which is why I said that this is a fraught statement that I made. Okay? Yes. Okay, I see Murrow hand up. Okay, and then I see Steve or Mona. Yes. Merle.
I think in response to what you just said about, listening to someone who we even may not respect, I think we have to listen so that we understand how to move forward in our own lives, which I think applies to thousands of years ago as well. But I think we have to listen so that we know what's going on in other opinions.
You know that the word I'm walking around is cancel. You know that. That's the word of the day. And I am admitting to you at the end of an hour so that you have no time to attack me, which I think I did this intentionally, saying to you that I have real trouble with cancel culture. I have real trouble. And it's because I am opting for message over messenger. But I'm really glad I did this near the end of the hour. Steve or Mona? Mona, okay.
I think Judaism clearly values the message over the messenger. The prophets are not uniformly attractive, charismatic, brave, handsome, wonderful people. I mean, Jonah, the cowardly weakling who runs away. I think the whole religion is very message oriented. And the history of disputation and argument, and it's all involved in the substance, analyzing the substance of the message. And vis-a-vis people who are evil, who produce great works of art, I think we're always listening, watching, enjoying even their artistic productions. It's we tell ourselves, well, there's a difference between the product, the music, the art, the sculpture, the dance, whatever it is, and this person's activities in life. But I think that debate is in some ways to me it seems false. I mean, if you're so outraged by that by that person's activities, don't listen, don't go to the exhibit, don't watch. And maybe that's a cop-out, but I realized the Israelis, for years, the Israeli Philharmonic wouldn't play Wagner. It was a very big deal.
I was just thinking that. Yes.
When they played Wagner for the first time, and I think it was until the 60s. I don't know. I mean, to me, it seems clear that there's a distinction between the person who produced the work and the work.
I'm going to let things stand with that, because I think that, it's only because I agree with you, actually. But what a fascinating set of questions we've picked up today, okay? The role of Moses, the person of Moses, the person of Aaron. Whom did Pharaoh speak with? What was Moses's real role in that confrontation? And the whole question of message and messenger. And how this was beautiful today. This was beautiful. Thank you very, 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 very much. We're going to do Kaddish now, before Effie reminds me that I forgot. And Shabbat Shalom. Don't forget the 11th. And also, please, let me have your email address if I do not yet have it. And Don, thank you very much for working with us and protecting us today. I'm going to mention the names of those who have passed away during the past month. Aaron Bender, Shirley Gordon, Wendy Kramer, Mark Levine, Sheila Bordeaux Wine. Yortzites that have occurred during the past week. Annette Abrams, Yafa Ackerman, Jack Edelstein, Sheldon Andelson, Marilyn August, Jackie Banchik, Leonard Baum, Lena Baser, Bradley Bell, Isidore Bendit, Yaakov Ben Yitzchak, Alexander Burks, Matthew Burke, Sonia Burson, Isidore Borstein, Ray Freda Brown, Louise Brunel, Richard Cecchiato, James Clark, Eva Coden, Jack Coe, William Cohn, Alfred Coleman, Karen Copland, Julian Crystal, Arnold Dauber, Sarah Davis, Stuart Davis, Susan Dissner, Irene Rose Dunner, Melvin Edelstein, Fred Ehrlich, Michael Eschker, Benjamin Fedowitz, Harold Feldman, Sidney Feldman. Vivian Fern, Ronnie Fink, Celia Fisher, Henrietta Fleischer, Sophia Fleischer, Alan Frank, Benjamin Franklin. I'm not going to comment. Benjamin Frank Woken. Marilyn Freed, Joan Freisleben, Gertrude Friedlander, Julius Friedman, Marilyn Friedman, Emily Gassas, Sherman Bernard Gibbon, Ryan Glazer, Samuel Golden, Lillian Gutstein, Edith Greenberg, Abraham Grosser, Mola Halimi, Carl Harwood, Joseph Robert Hecht, Eugene Hirsch, Irving Hirsch, Betty Eisen, Susan Gay Eisenberg, Rhoda Jaffe, Stan Kaltman, Ann Kaplowitz, Betty Capson, Herman Karp, Meyer Kaufman, Barbara Kessler, Esther Kessler, Robert Kessler, Lee Klein, Henrietta Cover, Florence Isabel Colwyn, Fega Kostanovich, Lena Laska, Bertha Catherine Levine, Richard Allen Levine, Lillian Lee, Rosara Leibson, Helen Levin, Marion Levine, Rose Levin, Herman Levitt, Stan Littman, Clara Lubliner, Al Mendel, Rhoda Mendel, Kitty Masters, Ruth Marin, Samuel Morgan, Selma Moyer, Ryan Nagy, Marion Sloan Nachum, Don Newmark, Dora Nordell, Michael Patterson, Louise Perlman, George Paness, Hortense Paness, David Bergerson, Abigail Prince, Dorothy Reams, Selma Rifkin, Gertrude Rose, Pearl Rosenthal, Edith Rubin, Eleanor Stern Rubin, Jack Sachs, Jacob Samuels, Beth Lauren Shapira, Mildred Schiff, Letty Seelman, Charles Shurkin, Estelle Silberkleit, Alexander Snukai, Morton Joseph Sobel, Michael Sokol, Harold Steingold, Louis Stern Jr., Jordan Weber, Marvin Weiner, Rosalie Waldenberg, Joyce Wolf, Virginia Wolf, Louis Wallner, Kathy Zubrin, Brian Zucker. We mention as well those who died in the defense of the United States and in defense of the state of Israel. We mentioned those for whom there is no one to say Kaddish. I would again apologize for having mispronounced names, and I will attempt to learn better. And if you have any names you would like now to include, please either speak them out loud or carry them now in your hearts.
Susan Abrams Tiano.
Debbie Falcon.
Sylvia Cohn.
Yitkadal, Kadash, Rabba, the Almad, the Amlich, V'chayechon, Uvyomechon, Uv'chayedechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, Uvizman Karim, V'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevarach, Le'olam Le'olmei Almaya, Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shemei Kudisha Barichu, Le'ela, Min Kol Berchata, V'shivata, Tush V'chata, V'nechemata, Da'am Ran V'alma, V'imru amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Oseh shalom. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Sending you love, folks. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Splendid new year for all of us. We picked up a lot to think about in those two verses. Okay. Shabbat shalom. Shana
Shabbat
tova.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
See you next week.
Shabbat shalom.
Here.
Shalom.